Okay, greetings and welcome to Black Women Made Whole. I am the hostess for this event, Fancy. I'm also the founder and editor in chief of Swagger Magazine. Um, and welcome. I gotta admit I'm adjusting, but um, Black Women Made Whole, not fixed, not perfect, not finished, but whole. For the next 2 hours, we are not performing, we are present. Thank you for taking the time out to join us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, or at least it's beautiful in the DMV. I don't know, we're expecting snow, so I don't know how it's gonna turn out by this evening. But right now it looks really nice outside, and I'm excited about that. And I hope it's nice wherever you are too. Black Women Made Whole is a transformational experience designed to support Black women in returning to themselves fully, authentically, and without apology. Through powerful conversations on identity, emotional wellness, faith, and sisterhood, this curated gathering creates space for reflection, restoration, and renewal. More than an event, Black Women Made Whole is an intentional pause, a moment to breathe, release what no longer serves you, and reclaim the parts of yourself that deserve to be seen, nurtured, and honored. Attendees will leave feeling grounded, supported, and reminded that wholeness is not about perfection, but about embracing every layer of who they are. So, before we get into our first speaker, I do want to post one prompt in the chat, and that prompt or the question is type one word in the chat that describes how you want to feel by the end of today or the end of this event. I really want to know what what y'all have in mind or what you're expecting. Um, with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce our first person. I'm very excited about having because I have been following her for years. But our first Black Women Made Whole speaker is Lucinda Cross. Lucinda Cross is a powerhouse in women's leadership and empowerment, recognized as a 2025 NASDAQ Milestone Maker alumni and a Forbes Next 1000 honoree. She has also served as Verizon's small business comeback coach and sits on the Albany County District Attorney's Board for felony youth diversion. Her dedication to transformation has earned her the Lifetime Achievement Award from President Barack Obama. As the founder and CEO of Activate Worldwide and executive director of Activate Your Life, Lucinda is a driving force in women's empowerment, youth advocacy, and women's reentry and support. Her influence extends across major media platforms, including CNN, The Today Show, BET, ABC, NBC, and Essence. A sought after leadership trainer, she has worked with Fortune 500 companies such as Nike, Prudential Securities, Delta Airlines, and Essence Magazine. Her expertise is also valued by the Department of Justice, where she co-convenes women's initiatives, mobilizes leaders, and advocates around empowerment, reentry, and development. So, without further ado, I'm getting ready to bring Lucinda to the stage. Okay, let me see. Oh, actually, look, why? Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom of the screen. I'm sorry, Lucinda. Hey, girl, look, everything is all yours. You can take it away. I'm removing myself.
Hello. Hey everyone, how are you? Thank you so much. I'm just honored to be here this morning. And one of the things that I'm sharing today is just Womanopoly, which is about how are we owning our space, right? There's so much that we have done, and there's so much that we sacrifice as a woman. And one of the things that I want us to really take a hold of today, especially when it comes to thinking of yourself as whole, we hold on to these titles: the mom, the wife, the girl, the this, the that, the executive. But I don't want us to lose the fact that we are a woman of God first. And when we remember that we are a woman of God first, it puts us in a position to remember how powerful we are, how important it is for us to give ourselves some grace. Hello, someone, give yourself some grace. I know someone in here is dealing with you're beating yourself up, maybe it's too late, maybe I'm too old, maybe I don't have enough money. It's a lot of what ifs, it's a lot of I don't have, it's a lot of I'm not sure, it's a lot of I'm tired, right? But that, give yourself some grace. Think about all the things you have been able to accomplish. And that's for me what, when I say womanopoly, which is something that I'm really standing on, is, Lucinda, how are you owning, not so much taking up space, because we already do that, but how are we owning who we are as a woman of God, as a leader, as someone who shows up and wakes up every morning? What is the crown that you're wearing? And oftentimes people don't even realize, I don't even think, people may look at your life and not realize how heavy the crown that you're wearing is. Am I talking to somebody? How heavy that crown is. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. How heavy that crown that you have, that you're wearing is. So they look and they see how awesome and the things that you are able to push through, but the tears, the blood, sweat, and tears that some of us still shed every month. See, earring dropping, but people don't realize how heavy that crown is, and that's why I'm saying, give yourself some grace. What does grace for you look like? Not what it looks like for everyone else. Give yourself some grace. Looks like, what do you need to forgive yourself on? What do you need to talk to yourself about? What do you need to make some time for you on? You are on everybody's agenda. We're often on everybody's agenda. We're the chauffeur, we're the chef, we're the prayer warrior, we're the nurse, we're the doctor, we're the herbalist, we're the wound licker, we're the I'll heal you, I'll fix you. Where are you on your agenda? So when I say give yourself some grace under the title of womanopoly, I'm talking about, how are you taking care of you to be whole? How are you showing up for you to be whole? That's key right there. What are you doing to make sure that you're able to have some form of balance? Emotional balance, spiritual balance, physical balance, right? Financial balance. If we look at our finances, I want to know what's on there that connects to you. So I'm not sure if there were some questions that we were supposed to have or ask here. Let me know, team on the back end. But if not, I will just continue to keep on going, because one thing I do love is edifying and supporting the next woman and remembering who she is, remembering her calling, remembering how she stands up. Some of us are standing up and it's like we on the last limb. The ankles twisting, knees ain't bending right? Because we have been walking this walk for so long. Crown is heavy, walking this walk. But the one thing that we have not done that can really just alleviate all of this is saying, I need to give myself some grace, whatever that looks like. I need to give myself some grace. I need to take a nap. I need to give myself some grace. I'm going on a solo trip. We don't need to have all the girls and all the things and matching bathing suits. All of that is lovely. But if you haven't grounded yourself to give yourself some grace, you're going to show up once again with a heavy crown. It's going to look all nice and fun. You're having a great time. But when it's all over, that crown is still heavy. Lighten the crown. Own your space. Own where you are. Own who you are. What are we taking ownership of? Because if we're not able to take ownership of our time, and I live by these Fab Fives. If we're not able to take ownership of our faith, our family, our friends, our fitness, and our finances, and how we show up. I'm not talking about overextending yourself. I'm talking about boundaries. I'm talking about it's not about saying, well, I'm just keeping it real. I'm talking about where you're saying, you know what, I'm learning to communicate. And sometimes that communication means, zip, I'm going on a verbal fast so that I can actively listen. So I'm not having expectations of others. I'm moving intentionally without having expectations of others that they won't be able to meet. Because guess what? You're an overgiver. Most of the time, those of us, crown is heavy, walk is strong. We're the ones that everybody calls on. We're the healers, the chauffeurs, the chefs, the cleaners, the maids, sometimes we the pole dancers, right? We gotta be sexy, we gotta look fit, while everything and everyone else around us can fall into shambles, but we gotta have it all together. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. When is the season for you? And not a cliche hashtag me season, because most of us are not moving in what me season looks like. Me season is looking like God is first. God, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? Who do you want me to be in this season? How do you want me to show up, not only to represent you, but to make somebody else say, hey, who's she following? What is she connected to? How did this happen? Where they're forced to question your moves, and it leads right back to, listen, it's all God. All I did was just walk. All I did was just own my space. All I did was just be a woman of my word. All I did was set some boundaries. I simplified my life. Who needs to simplify their life? You may think it's just simple now. Well, how much more can I simplify, Lucinda? If you're dealing with fatigue, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, because when that crown is heavy, meaning that you are tacking on things on your crown that don't belong to you, that man's issues, the kids' issues, the job's issues. If you are tacking on other people's things, then you are not allowing yourself to walk in a season where you can grow. You're walking into a season where you don't know what happened. Got kicked right off. That's all good. That is all. I see. I love stuff like this. So in my last 3 minutes, right, that I'm going to share with you, my last 3 minutes, I'm going to share with you, making sure that you simplify your life, making sure that you are on your own agenda. Stop trying to fix everybody and fix everything and fix the family's trauma and fix the family's drama and fix your friends' issues and fix your, who assigned you to be their therapist, their pastor, their mama, who told you to do that? Who told you that we got to remove some of these labels? That's what it really boils down to. Who are you and who do you need to be to show up in this season so that you can grow? So that you're not sitting there constantly needing to be watered, right? That you're not sitting there in a position where you're you are withering away slowly, because one thing affects the health. It affects the mind. It affects the body. It affects the finances. It affects your attitude. So here's the thing. Who's willing to say yes? Who's willing to say, I need to remember, this is serious right here. This is serious. I need to remember my calling. I need to remember my calling. I lost it somewhere along the way. I need to pick it back up. I need to remember my passion. I left it at somebody's door somewhere when I was too busy trying to be Miss Fix It. I need to remember my purpose. I'm still trying to show up and invest in more programs and more of this and more of that and more of that. But I haven't even exercised the power that I'm sitting on. So I need to remember my purpose when it's something that is assigned to me every single day. It's a new purpose every day. Every day. So what do you need to remember about you? In removing these labels, who told you you wasn't worthy? Who told you they didn't want you? Who told you that you were rejected? And who told you some of these things that you allowed to bottle up and then use that pain to heal and fix everybody else, the world savers? One thing my mentor told me a long time ago when I first started my business, he said, Lucinda, well, actually, it was based on me writing my first book. He said, Lucinda, you write this book for one person. If you're writing it to try to reach millions, you're going to stress yourself out. Write this book to reach one and you'll reach millions. You write it to reach millions, you'll reach no one. And I carry that with me. You say one message to reach one. You don't create a message to reach millions. Because I say, oh, I need bigger stages. I need this. What are you talking about? What is a bigger stage? Is the stage bigger because it's over there with 2,000 people in an arena, or is the stage with 16-year-olds, with 16-year-olds who's in foster care and ready to slit their wrists? What's bigger? And so when I looked at that, I said, wow, this goes back to me telling you today, remember your calling. We got to get in position. We have to get into alignment. It starts with giving yourself some grace. Sis, the crown is heavy. I'm asking you to let it up because you're beautiful, you're smart, you've overcome so many things that most people wouldn't have been able to make it through. You're still going through some things that people have no idea how you're managing. But that's what being this whole woman is about. It's about, let me remember who I am. I can't come to you half and then still give you. And here's the thing, if you show up half and people still want to take the whole of the half as you're showing up. And guess what? You do it right back again in the morning. And you expect to, and you wondering why you fatigued now. You haven't given yourself the rest. You got to listen. I need my mind to rest. I need my eyes to feel rested. I need my voice to rest because I need it to be used. I need my heart to rest because I need you to beat as long to my golden years of 100. I need my limbs to rest because I still need you to be mobile so that I can reach my children's children's children. I need my feet to rest so that I can be able to continue to walk this thing out to the other side. But for now, I need to make sure I'm giving myself some grace so that I can not only be my best self, whatever that looks like. Your best self doesn't have to look like the big mansion and the big cars and the big business and the overflowing bank account and all the bags and all the things. No. Now, when I tell you God minimized my life and it was the happiest and joyous I have ever lived. This earring won't let me be great. It's cute, right? Black woman owned. So on that note, I want you to remember something. Let me just look for something real quick because I want you to remember, and I wrote this down, and it's not a chat GPT, but I wrote something down for you. Very simple. Very simple. And I think one of the things that we do is we complicate things. This is about Black women being made whole, Black women made whole. The wholeness is in you. You don't let anybody define you. You do not, and it's easier said than done. I don't want you to seek for validation. I don't want you to seek for someone to give you an applause. I don't even want you to seek recognition because half the time, how we're seeking outward to get what we need inward, it comes from us. I do so much tooting my horn to myself. And I'm not talking about going to the mirror and saying, girl, you good today. You look good. You smell great. Life, I had to go beyond that because that just wasn't working for me. Maybe it worked for you. But I needed to really edify myself. And I need to take these next 15 minutes before I start getting all out into the world, doing all the things to say, hey, what do I need right now? And questioning myself. So simplify your life. And I'm going to give you a homework assignment. I want you to write down the things that you need to do, that you used to love to do, not even need to do, the things you used to love to do, and also the things you need to let go. And when you write those things that you need to let go, you have 30 days to begin to start the eviction notice starting today. I need you to create a list of 10 things you need to let go. And you have 30 days from this date to start serving eviction notices. And if some of those things is you on that list, and habits, conversations, old mindsets, complaining, worrying, procrastinating, doubting, not putting yourself out there, not speaking up, self-sabotaging, remove it. 30-day eviction notice for you or anyone else that's stopping you from being who you need to be and from you being the Black woman made whole. So I'm Lucinda Cross. I thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I hope this has supported you. I'm excited about all the other speakers that you'll get to hear from today and just honored to help kick this thing off. But you got this. Keep the crown light.
Okay, greetings, guys. For some reason, I forgot there's a delay. I'm watching on Facebook, so but it is so good seeing all of you all's comments. Thank you so much, Lucinda. That was like the perfect opening segment. You really captured what I envision when I say Black women made whole. And I think there are so many of us who can relate to the things that you were saying. I could see in the comments, everybody was like me, when you were talking about lighting the crown, I think that is something that we really need to think about because, we pride ourselves on our crowns, but not all the time do we think about just how heavy it is. It's something to be proud of, but it's also something that's weighing us down, and we need to do better than that. We need to start moving away from that. So, let me check something right quick, guys. Um, as we are awaiting our next speaker, I want to talk about one of our sponsors because it's the sponsors that help to make this event possible. And we appreciate those brands who partner with us and align with us. So I want to take a moment to highlight one of our incredible sponsors, Pen Paper Publish. Pen Paper Publish was created for faith led women who know their story inside of them but have been afraid, unsure, or hesitant to start writing it. Founded by Christian author and editor Shelley Lee, this beautiful platform helps women extract the testimony God placed inside them and turn it into a finished published book. Through her signature 5P method, pray, plan, pen, proof, and publish, Shelley walks aspiring authors step by step from idea to publication. But more than that, she reminds women that writing their story isn't just about filling pages, it's about obedience. It's about honoring God's call. It's about allowing your testimony to inspire someone else's breakthrough. If you've been sitting on a book idea, if you know God has been nudging you to write, if you're ready to walk boldly in your author calling, Pen Paper Publish is here to help you write with purpose and publish with confidence because your story isn't over until God says it's over. Please help me thank Pen Paper Publish for supporting Black Women Made Whole. So, now that I have done that, okay, thank you. Thank the team on the back end, y'all. I'm looking at one screen and trying to remember like to look back at the other screen. And yeah, this is a transition for me, but I am enjoying it. And it's me stepping out of my comfort zone. When Lucinda talked about showing up for yourself and taking chances or taking risks, that really resonated with me because just doing events, I love public speaking, but just trying to put myself out there can still be a challenge of a bit of a challenge for me. So I am working on that. Um, and I see we're still missing some people on the back end, but let me see. Thank y'all for being patient. We can go into one of our prompts. So, one of the things I wanted to know and personally ask you all, what do you need more of in this season? Is it rest? Is it boundaries, clarity, support? What do you think you need in order to be made whole this season? You can let us know in the chat. Oh, and I see you all might not be able to see everything in the chat. Let me remove that one. Oh, what belief about yourself have you outgrown this year? I know we are still early in the year, but a lot of us have, I did not set resolutions this year, but one thing that I did do was I just plan to be more intentional. And so that's really all that I've been working on and just not only being intentional, but also trusting my intuition because I feel like a lot of the times, I don't know if it's just me being a Libra or what, but I'll know what I need to do, and yet I'll still, you know, do the opposite. And so I'm like, I really need to start listening to myself and trusting my own self as much as I put trust into other people. So those are just some things. And I am going to go through the chat, and I see oh, thank you, Chanel. She said, my God, I really needed this. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. Um, I see Arnitra said community. She needs business besties. Well, you are definitely in my community, and I'll add you to our other community too, Arnitra. That'll probably help as well, just if you're looking to connect with people. Chanel also said rest, clarity, boundaries, peace, and confidence. I agree with that. Rest, clarity, I think I'm okay with, but boundaries, I could definitely use some work on. I need to work on reinforcing my boundaries because I'll set them, but am I actually, making certain that I'm practicing them? I think that's a hopefully something that one of our next speakers will be able to discuss. Um, Lakeisha said, I have grown that I need to do it all. Okay. Um, Arnitra said, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I am a recovering perfectionist too, Anitra. I actually was just telling somebody about this, but I really am. It's a struggle for real. Lakeisha also said, I do not and will not. um, let's look at some YouTube followers right quick. I've also been more intentional in every area of my life, as well as resting mind and body. And that's from Shantae. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but y'all see it on the screen. But thank you, Shantae. Or Shatana. Is that what it is? Shatana? I'm sorry if I'm screwing up your name. I know how important our names are to us, so I don't want to be just butchering it. Who is this? Penelope Cooper said clarity, boundaries, and rest. Okay. So I am going to go on, and we're gonna kind of switch some things up since we do have some of our other speakers here. So I'm going to introduce Trish Stanley. Let me get her information pulled up. 1 second, guys. Okay. So, Trish Stanley is a faith driven media personality, award winning gospel recording artist, television host, and fashion entrepreneur committed to empowering women to walk boldly in purpose. With over a decade in media, Trish rebranded her platform in 2024 as Trish Stanley TV, expanding its focus to address real life issues impacting women and underserved communities through honest, hope filled conversations rooted in faith. As a gospel artist, Trish has released 3 projects, introducing Trish Redemption and No One Else, earning Billboard recognition, international chart success, and multiple industry awards. In 2025, she launched her debut clothing collection, Evolution, under her brand Trish's Treasures, using fashion as a reflection of growth, healing, and confidence. Currently, Trish is developing her nonprofit organization, Ahava Kinda Love, dedicated to educating and uplifting communities through media, faith, and service. Through every platform, Trish encourages women to see themselves as God sees them and to step fully into the lives they were created to live. So, we are going to bring Miss Trish on. All right. Miss Trish, it's all yours. Take it away.
Hey everybody. I wanted to trying to share this screen. Not seeing where to do that at. Oh, here we go. But yeah, I wanted to introduce myself because I'm sure everyone I'm confident. Um, all are not aware of who I am and what I do. Fancy, thank you so much for having me on this platform. I've been a Swag Her fan forever. And really since the early years of Swagger Magazine. And I've been able to listen, glean, and grow from you. So I wanted to start out with that and thanking you for allowing me to be here with this on this platform. Um, I kind of wanted to start out with journaling and the importance of journaling. I really so much enjoyed Lucinda and what she spoke about concerning really falling back in love with your original call, because it's so easy to do. If you are like myself, I am the type, I've always asked God for ideas. I've never asked him for money, but I pray and I ask him for ideas, and that's exactly what he gives me. And so I like to take full advantage of his download in me. And in order to do that, and I think it helps me compartmentalize my life and my call. And so journaling is very, 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 very important. And even if even if you're not a writer and you don't like to actually write, I believe you should write it down, because whenever I write something down, I stick to it. I love gadgets. I'm a techie by profession and a techie by heart, and I love all of the different gadgets in there. So if you don't want to write, you have voice recorder. Record your ideas, record your feelings, how you're feeling, how certain situations make you feel. I'm going to jump right here in a moment, but I just felt led to sort of share a little bit of my week. This has been a very emotional, high pack week for me. Fancy said she doesn't do New Year resolutions. I don't necessarily do New Year. They're not resolutions. They are self reflections. And so what I had decided on last year, 2025, I wanted to be more disciplined in my spending. And so my new way of life, my fast, I should say, for the month of January was no frivolous spending. And so all I did was pay bills in January. No spending of funds. Outside of that, I could not eat out. That was my struggle. And so I did that and sacrificed that in the month of January. And I just was telling one of my coworker friends yesterday, I don't even think about excessive spending now that we're at the end of February. I haven't spent anything, and I'm saying all this, I'm bringing it all together, just bear with me. I have not spent frivolously so far in the month of February. And I said all that to say, sometimes, like Lucinda said, you have to stop, take a break, sit in your silence and breathe and reconnect with yourself and rediscipline yourself. And so I just wanted to share that, and because all of the stuff that has been going on for me this week, I am extremely emotionally exhausted. And so what I said that I was going to do, the commitment I made for myself, because I am a promise keeper to myself first, is that I'm going to take the next couple of days and spend it in silence. And so I've taken time off of work. I really didn't have a lot on my schedule. I have some things on my schedule, but then I don't. And so all of that stuff is going back burner because I am trying to become a better part of who I am as Trish Stanley. And so I thank you again, guys, for tuning in. Please give your feedback, share your feedback. This is actually one of my intentional desires, was to do more speaking engagements. And so this is one of my to-do list. So I'm very excited about it, spending this time with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about becoming. And I love the title of this, Becoming Whole on Purpose. And so we're going to start out with what that reset looks like. This is what I'm speaking to myself in this, y'all. When it is time for reset. And we're going to talk about the success, the productivity, and the function of that. And many women, we pull together, we pull toward a reset before we call it a reset, because we're operating in stress. Like myself, I'm guilty. We're operating in crisis, and we're just trying to stay afloat, if you will. And so all of that can be overcoming. And you may be successful. I'm trying to break this down the best way I can. You may be successful in those particular areas, but how are you feeling? How is it making you feel? And so sometimes reset will happen as we don't recognize it until it's a blow up situation. So we have to realign, and it begins with awareness. What does awareness look like? It's heavy. And it is, I'm gonna scoot up a little bit closer, guys. I'm in my she shed. It can be very heavy. And what we're looking for peace, and we're looking for just, what am I trying to say? I want to say so much in this period of time. We're looking to what happens is we're relying. It begins with awareness, which is why I suggest journaling, because when you journal, especially when you're in your feeling, that it allows you to really see you can read and you can relate to what you're feeling. Yeah, I'm getting it, y'all. Okay. So we're going to talk about trusting the path without clarity, because you don't always have, when your focus is off, when you are, whatever the situation is, you're overwhelmed. And I will speak and add this little piece in there to my sister girls. Perimenopause and menopause is a very real thing. A very real thing. And so it should be something that is taken into consideration when you are trying to find clarity and you're trying to come to this moment of awareness. Okay. On the slide I have, we're talking about faith, and it says, I don't want to have to read the slides to you, but I will go to them at some point on and off, but please read the slides for yourself. But it says faith, it does not always, reveal its full self and the full fullness of the step that you are to take next. And what I mean by that is, you think about your relationship with God. You think about, in the past, the things and trials and situations that you have faced. He is not going to give you the full picture. He's going to give you step by step by step. And as you know, faith is a walk, it's a whole journey. And it would not be faith if he gave us the whole story. And so what we have to do is we have to remember that this is a faith walk. And we have to remember that our steps are absolutely ordered by God. However, he is not going to reveal it all to us. And so how do we, for those of you that are like myself, how do we find clarity in with a lens that we can't fully see? And how do we stay steady in taking those steps? And one of the things that I wanted to sort of share right here, trust grows. And when I'm talking about trust, I'm talking about trust not just in God, but especially in ourselves. Trust grows when we stop demanding guarantees. And I believe someone talked about, they struggled, someone who spoke in one of the timelines spoke about suffering with perfectionism. And that's me. It is a hereditary thing. My mother has it. My sisters have it. My nieces, some of them are developing it. My daughter is developing. And that is a very, we are doing so much damage to ourselves, to our minds, our self-esteem, our self-worth, when we put so much pressure on ourselves that we don't leave space for God to do his perfect work, nor are we giving ourselves a break, like Lucinda said, giving ourselves grace. And that develops within us, and it manifests itself as stress. A lot of the illnesses that we're dealing with, we talked about blood pressure is a hypertension disease. And along with diet, it is triggered. However, hypertension is a very real thing, and it manifests itself in different illnesses. Just as blood pressure, having high blood pressure untreated or treated, can cause further medical issues. But it all started from stress and being a perfectionist and having high expectations for other people, putting them above and higher than what they should be. That causes stress, which messes with our mindset. And so that's clouding up our clarity. So what we have to do is know that, and have faith, and know that God has us in this season, in this very step that he has us placed on right now. And what we can be doing in this season is asking for clarity, journaling, spending that silent time with yourself. Get to know who you are. I always say, if you don't like spending time with you, what makes you think anybody else wants to spend time with you? So we have to get clarity and become one with one another. One of the other points I want to talk about with trust, when trust grows, you have to remember who carried you before. I just said that. You have to remember he got you through that thing last time. He's absolutely going to get you through this time if you remain with your heart, your mind, and your mouth in alignment with him. And the last point I want to make is you anchor in character over circumstances. And I had a situation this week because I've been overwhelmed. And I had a situation on my job where I'm so overwhelmed, I almost became insubordinate, to say it nicely, this week on my job, because I'm carrying all of this other stuff on my back, and every little thing will set me off. And so situation happened on the job, it set me off. I needed to take a moment. What I should have done was take a moment, take a breath, reset, anchor myself, and remind myself that I am the anchor over the situation. This situation is not over me. And so I'm just throwing out analogies. That's what I like to do. And I'm very transparent. I am in the same struggle of becoming, in journey, I should say, not struggle, journey of becoming, just like any and everybody else. And I also want to say faith isn't about knowing the outcome. We know that. It's about knowing the one who writes the outcome. And then the next step, I think that in your journaling process, I think it's wise to ask certain questions, and especially this question. I'm gonna have a couple of questions for you guys to consider throughout my presentation. But one of them is, am I being led by fear or by faith? What's leading you? I know a lot of people sit and they won't move out of fear, but those of us who are already actively moving and trying to maneuver this life and our purpose and our call, are we moving out of fear or are we moving out of faith? Because fear rushes. Fear will rush you, but faith studies you. It studies you. It keeps you steady, is what I'm saying. It steadies you. And so consider that in every move that you're making right now, in all of these things that you have going on. And that's what I'm going to be considering these next 3 days that I sit in silence. Is fear rushing me? And that's why I'm becoming overwhelmed and that's messing up my clarity? Or am I going to allow faith to keep me steady during this journey I'm going through right now? All right, so we're going to go to the next slide, and we're going to talk about you are not your title. And it's funny because Lucinda mentioned this when she came on. When you're a high achieving woman, oftentimes we confuse impact with identity. Okay. And I'm guilty of this too. You are not the show. I'm not, even though it has my name on the show, I am not the show. I have a brand, but I am not the brand. I am not the degree, and I'm not the title. Those are expressions of who I am, but not the essence of who I am. And I don't feel like you can really go and represent yourself in the wholeness that you really would like to, unless you can sit down with yourself and have these conversations and correct yourself. We're going to talk about self-correction here in a moment as well. So remember that who you are, your titles, your degree, none of that. They're only expressions of who you are. That is not who defines you. You need to reconnect with who you are and what that requires. What I'm getting ready to, I'm telling you guys, I'm preaching this to myself. Reconnecting with who you are requires silence. It requires reflection, and it requires honest inventory. And what I was speaking on earlier, I couldn't even hardly sleep last night because I have a level of guilt in the way that I handled the situation yesterday. Almost teary-eyed thinking about it. because that isn't who I was. That's not who I am to my core. I know who I am, but because I've allowed myself to become stretched here, stretched there, and it's not, situations happen, emergencies happen, life happens, and life happened for me last week. And I have to teach myself not to be so hard on myself at the same time, give myself some grace, but then go back and clean it up. And that's what I plan to do, go back and clean it up. And that's what I'm doing, the work I'm doing in my honesty inventory. So as I'm taking these next 3 days, I'm silent, I'm reflecting, but I'm journaling honestly my wrongs from last week, what I need to try to do and fix and heal and correct going forward. You have to be honest. You can't do this unless you are 100% honest with yourself. So I will be asking these questions in my journals. And as I stated, I have questions that I'm going to throw out here for you to help you if you would like to journal or have a help in how do I get there? Where does my mind need to be? So ask yourself these 3 questions. Who am I when nobody needs me? That's a hard one for me because my spiritual gift is a gift of encouragement. And even though sometimes it gets heavy when people are dumping, and I won't say dumping, sharing their issues and their struggles with me, I don't know. I got to find out who I am beyond someone needing me, if that makes sense. The next question, who am I without applause? If no one else applauses, Lucinda mentioned you have an audience of 1. If you're out here doing what the call that God called you to, if it's truly the call from God, then you only need the applause of 1. I love the analogy that she used when she stated that, are you looking for the big crowd? Are you looking for the arena field events? Is that your focus? Or does that mean more to you than helping maybe 2 to 3, 4, 5 young ladies or teenagers who are struggling with a particular thing? Which means more to you? I think that's a life check that we all have to do. Where is it most important that God acknowledges what you do, even if no one else does? I'll share this other thing. When I first started singing, God called me to sing. He deals with me in dreams. And I had a dream that I was singing in front of the church that I was a member of at that time. And in the dream, I'm telling you, I'm tearing the song up. I'm just, just going in. And the people in the congregation was just sitting straight faced, didn't even look like they were blinking, and just staring at me like, okay, you doing all of that? And I actually got mad and went off in the mic in the dream. And when I woke up, I shared my dream with a friend who interprets dreams. And she told me, she said, Trish, this was God's way of letting you know, don't focus on the faces out there. Don't focus on the people. Keep your eyes focused on him. He is the only audience that you should be concerned with. And when we go off of that and veer off of that, that's when we go back up here and we're being led by fear and not faith. Because at that point, remember, fear rushes, but faith steadies. Okay? So remember those 3 questions in your journaling. I will say wholeness begins when your private self, I love this line. Wholeness begins when your private life and public self shake hands. Wholeness begins when your private self and public self shake hands. And I love that because it is the combination and bringing of the 2. And it allows you to really, really, really reconnect with yourself. I don't want to be anyone different around my family, here at home, at church, at work, just out and about. I don't want to be a different person. I don't want to have to put on these different personas and personalities and fakeness to live my life. I want to be able to be whole. And in order to be whole, the public life and the private life marry each other. And so that's how I want to operate in my wholeness. So that when you see me out in the store, you're not getting a different Trish, a different version of Trish. When I do my show, I'm the same person on my show as I am every day of the week, even at work. And so let's talk about reconnecting with self. We talked a little bit about it. Well, actually, I went over this part already, so I'm going to go ahead. Okay. From surviving to powerful. And that was sort of what I was trying to say that I've been going through this week. I've just really been struggling, excuse me. I was really struggling with surviving, just not livelihood wise, but mentally wise. My head hurt so bad. I feel like it was going to explode. That stress. And that's why I'm saying to you guys that we have to be able to use the tools, step back, be quiet, be silent, and really stay in tune and intact with who you are. One of the things and one of the tools that I really like is meditation. And whatever that manifests for you, it could just be quietness. It could be, I'll share this. I saw a video of Denzel Washington, and one of the things he said, and it still sticks with me to this moment, he said, how often do you sit in complete silence, mindless, not thinking on anything, thinking on what you're going to cook for dinner, just mindless? When was the last time you've done that? When we do that and we sit in our silence, so much is revealed to us. And so much direction is given to us in those spaces. And so that's something to consider when you are going from surviving to becoming powerful. All right. The shift is this, and this is the shift from going from survival to powerful. Stop asking, how do I get through this? And start asking, who am I becoming through this? Because remember, ultimately, our journey is to become. We're on this journey of becoming. And so I need to look at all of my situations and ask myself, how do I get through this? Not ask myself, how do I get through this? Because I'm focusing on the issue versus who am I becoming through this? You're building character. You are able to exercise, put those things that you're journaling about, those honest points that you're journaling about, you're able to put them in action and start exercising and working out and building that muscle. And so it gives you the opportunity to say, okay, I need to think higher than I did the last time. I need to get beyond myself and focus on not the situation, but what benefit is it going to give me? You don't want to just endure. You don't want to I'm just holding on. That's mindset has to go. I'll say that again. The mindset of I'm just making it, or I'm just enduring, I'm just going to hold on. That is survival mode. Powerful mode is, let me grow through this. Let me learn from this. Let me lead from it. Excuse me. I'm a little nervous, y'all. Bear with me. Power is not loud. It's rooted. It's knowing I am no longer available for shrinking to make others feel comfortable. So once you have really established and reconnected, if you've ever, because, no one really tells us that we're not whole. We run into circumstances and situations where, our parents aren't telling us, well, you're not whole. And so this is what you're going to do to become whole. We're not getting, I'll speak for myself. I didn't get that. I don't think that my mother had the tools at that time to give that to me. If she did, I know I would have had it. But we're not given that. We are just now getting to a point, I would say in the last 10, 15 years, where we are addressing these things. And so we have to remember that to use our voices. Every opportunity that we can use your voice. Using your voice and being confident in who you are, it boosts your confidence. Let me say it this way. I say, I am actively working on myself. I am, like Fancy said, I am intentionally working on myself. And in order for me to intentionally work on myself, I have to exercise the voice that I've silenced for so long. And I have to look for opportunities. It's not to go off on people. Using your voice is not going off, because people are not hearing you anyway. When I say use your voice, I'm talking about speaking your piece, speaking up for yourself, not allowing people to define who you are. You know, you get to that place, that's not me. Oh yeah, I know you this. No, don't allow people to speak into you what they think and who they think you are. You have to get to know who you are for yourself. Don't live off of what someone's expectation is of you, in other words. And the last, I don't know if this is the last. This is me all day. A lot of people would not agree with this, because I have a TV show and I've sung, but it was not because I wanted to. The fear of being seen for me started back when I started writing music and singing. And God spoke to me and said, it's time for you to get these songs, get them recorded and put them out. And I was so nervous, because songwriting for me is very intimate, is very personal. No one my mindset back then, no one ever had to hear me sing or my songs that I had written. But God told me, record your music and share it. And I refused to do it. What I did instead, I put together a singing group. And I'm saying, okay, Lord, I'm doing it. You know, I didn't write the songs. We were singing original songs, but I'm like, Lord, I'm singing outside the church, my local church. I'm doing it. We're going to different places and we're singing. I'm able to exercise the gift you've given me. And the Lord put a whooping on me so hard that I still feel it today. He dried up my gifting. I began to have vocal issues. I could not write. I've been writing music and songs since I was 15, 16 years old. He dried it up. He said, oh, you're not going to do it in the way? So I didn't give him a complete no. I gave him a partial no. And because I was not 100% obedient, he stripped me of my gifting for a season. And so after that, I surrendered and I said, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. So initially I started because it was a fear that I did not want to be seen. But that is not his call for you. He's going to give you everything that you need. He's going to equip you with everything you need and everything you need to learn to reach that call throughout the whole process. Remember, we're going step by step by step. All we have to do and all we're responsible for is our obedience and walking in that. And so I share that to say that I understand I'm scared of speaking in front of people, or I can't do this. We focus so much on what we can't do in our own might that we forget that this is a faith walk. He did not call you to just leave you there trying to figure it out. He's not going to do that. And if you feel that is the case, you may want to question the call. But I understand the fear of being criticized. I understand the fear of being overlooked and being misunderstood. And now in the modern day of social media, it is so easy to get, any little thing can be taken out of context. And it's a lot of fear behind that. I understand it. I truly understand it. But as long as God, as you stay connected and obedient to every step that God is calling you to, I do believe that he will shield you. And even if that's part of your journey, because we're scared to be criticized. And sometimes he needs to expose us in certain things in order for us to develop thick skin. No one wants their feelings hurt. No one wants to be embarrassed. But sometimes that has to happen in order for us to build up confidence. Okay, I went through that. It was embarrassing. Let's do this again. Run into it again. Okay, well, this time it's not going to throw me all the way off. I'm going to take it. I'm going to, like what we just say, we're not just going to endure, we're going to grow through it. Okay, Lord, how do I learn from this? How do I grow through this? This is what we fall back on mindset wise. So I want to share this part with you because I really love, because I'm a songwriter, I love things that rhyme but that are deep. This says, the woman who knows she's meant for more must decide, is comfort more important than calling? Do you need to be perfect to be visible? You do not need to be perfect to be visible. You need to be obedient. You are not called to be digestible. You are called to be authentic. The world does not need another copy. It needs the original. And we have to remember, it's so easy to do, guys. It is so easy to do when you are a creative. And I know my time is coming up. I'm at the end. It is. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It's nothing like being authentic and staying authentic to your true self. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because my time is coming. I'm going to skip to a couple of slides here. This is my motto. I trust the woman I'm becoming. I trust the woman I'm becoming because I keep my promises and my commitment to myself. And lastly, this is, again, I'm Trish Stanley. You can reach me on Trish Stanley TV here on social media, as well as you have there my TV show, Trish Stanley TV, as well as Trish's Treasures. I thank you guys for your time. I'm sorry I went over my time. But I thank you for those who have listened, and I hope and pray that it has been a blessing for you. Thank you, Fancy, so much.
No problem. Thank you so much, Miss Trish. Also, guys, Miss Trish is one of our clients. So if you all need to book her, if you'd like to have her on your podcast or spotlight her in your publication, do please reach out and let us know. Wasn't planning on doing a plug, but at the same time, while we're here, let me make that be known. But thank you, Miss Trish.
Thank you.
So,
you guys be blessed.
Yeah. So, guys, we are going to also bring on one of our sponsors. But right before we do that, there was one thing, a prompt I wanted to ask you all, just as Ms. Trish was talking, and it made me think because she spoke on two things. For most who don't know, I am a visibility strategist, and we have our PR firm or boutique. Aside from the magazine, like the magazine doubles as that, but then now we are kind of a hybrid because we also have our visibility vault for Black business women, which is a visibility and lifestyle community for Black business women. So I say all that to say one of the things I was actually going to ask, why I see they put the where in your life are you being called to reinvent yourself prompt up, which is true. I would like to know that because that is something else that Ms. Trish talked about. But when she spoke on it, she was more so saying like we're reinventing ourselves for other people, And so I think that's something that we need to ask ourselves, but also how can you use your voice more, or like where are you going wrong and not using your voice? Those are some things that I think are good takeaways from what Ms. Trish was saying, because I feel like just as a visibility strategist, I oftentimes have clients who do struggle with being seen and using their voice, or they're thinking about it, but they're uncertain because, again, as we talked about being recovering perfectionists, so many of us as Black women deal with this problem. And for that reason, we are living in fear. We're not actually being our true selves or our whole selves because we're holding back due to those reasons. So I just want to note those things before we bring one of our intentional partners on board. This partner, the Soft Simple CEO, you all may have seen her in the comments, but it's Lakeisha Mosley. So Lakeisha's going to be sharing a little bit about her brand and just how you can support the Soft Simple CEO. Do check it out and let us know your thoughts in the comment as she's speaking.
Thanks, Fancy. I appreciate it. As y'all know, I am a huge fan of Swagger. have been a client for years. Fancy supporting my brand when I ain't even have a brand, y'all. So I'm excited to be a part, and I'm also excited to also be a strategic partner. Fancy has again always supported my brand, so I really wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about a new initiative that I have started and created, which is called the Soft Simple CEO. It is really in line with what Trish talked about, and of course, Lucinda, who is a really great friend of mine. And so I really am excited about being able to share with you a different way of leading, a different way of how we as women show up in our businesses, but also how we show up for ourselves. And so I'm excited to share this with you. So, just a little bit about me. I'm Lakeisha Mosley. I am the founder of the Soft Simple CEO. And my mission, really, y'all, is to show women entrepreneurs how to lead with ease, strategy, and rest as our most powerful tools. As y'all can see, you will say, girl, you talk about softness, but you got Nene as your alter ego. It's a strategy to all that. But my thing is really teaching us how to lead a different way. And this framework actually came just recently in 2025, November to be exact. I had a breakdown. I had a complete breakdown where I could not do anything. I was frozen. I was frozen mentally. I was frozen in all different kind of ways. And it wasn't because my business was failing. It was actually doing really good. I was a CEO. I was doing influencer work. I was doing all the things, basically checking the boxes, hitting these goals. But I was burning alive, literally from the inside. And one day I just sat in my bed and I said, God, this is not what I know that you have for me. I need to figure out something else. And so I had to really look at these to-do lists and these checklists and all of these things. Trish just talked about reinventing ourselves for showing up for other people. I had to really look at that and decide that I no longer wanted that. That I wanted to build something that was soft but was sustainable and that was not taxing on my mental health and well-being, which is one of the reasons why sometimes we go into burnout. So I wanted to build something that not only would be sustainable long term, but also that I enjoy showing up for, that I enjoy going to. And so hence we have the Soft Simple CEO. So I want to ask you, how many of you have ever felt successful but also depleted at the same time? Like you just literally a burnout. So that's most of us here at some point. So I want to share very briefly just the premise of what the Soft Simple CEO is. And it's really built on 5 principles. One is self-trust over self-betrayal. We got to learn how to trust ourselves and know what's right for our businesses and really stop second guessing. Again, reinventing ourselves for what we see somebody else doing. We have to know what's right. We have to learn how to lean into our intuition. It's really not something that we need to override. It is really data that we need to use going forward as we go throughout our businesses and build them. The second principle is regulation before strategy. Y'all, no strategy works if you are dysregulated. Everything we do, the foundation of it has to be our mental health and well-being. So before you launch something, before you decide to do some stuff, you have to ask yourself, am I regulated enough to really fully execute this well? If I'm not regulated first, it's not going to work. So I have to learn how to practice these things first. Principle number 3 is softness as a leadership strategy. A lot of times when people say soft, we think, oh, that's being weak. It's really not weakness, it's really a strategy. It's having the strength to lead without force, to build your business without burning out in the process, and to really succeed without sacrificing yourself. We aren't really taught this skill. And so, one of the things that we do at the Soft Simple CEO is teach you how to show up in your softness and how to be able to execute as a leader in ways where your team can actually fully execute. There's clarity around it and they know what they are supposed to be doing for you. Principle 4 is sustainable success design. We literally have to understand that our success should not cost us our peace. If it does, it's not success. We're burning out, we're crashing out, we're doing all of these things that really are not good for our businesses. And so we have to learn how to design a business around what we can maintain long term, not short term, But what does it look like for us to be able to sustain something over time to where we're not closing our businesses or they don't fall by the wayside? Because remember, you started this business because of a need. You started this business because you saw a gap in the marketplace somewhere. What you have, someone actually needs. And so we want you to be able to sustain that long term. And last principle is calm execution. Y'all, chaos is not a strategy. When you show up all bundled up, a bundle of nerves, or things don't look right, it really doesn't execute in the way that you really want it to do, the way you want it to be. So we really don't have to be in constant motion to be productive. A lot of times people feel like if you sitting still, you're not productive. A nap is productivity, honey. I take one every day. I don't even know why as kids we fought having naps. We need to learn how to rest, to slow down. Intentionality comes from calmness, and it actually helps us get things done in a better way than being frantic and doing the hustle mode. That gets a little tiring over time. Okay. So this is the Soft Simple CEO way, and I do have a free resource for you, Fancy. I'll drop the link in the chat for them to get. But it's really just a guide that I created that's going to help you as an entrepreneur or as a leader how to slow down, how to gain clarity, and also be able to communicate and execute things in the way that you need to be able to do so, so that your business can sustain and be long term, because that is what we want for you. I really appreciate you all showing up today and giving me just this little bit of time. Thank you, Fancy, for always including me in anything that you do. I am truly honored and blessed to be a part of here. You can connect with me on Instagram. That is my playground. That's where I like to hang out. And just hit me up. And if you got a takeaway from this or you want to talk more about the Soft Simple CEO, just hit me up on Instagram and we can talk. Thank you, Fancy.
Not a problem. Thank you so much, Lakeisha, for always, answering the call, and just Lakeisha also helps curate our events. So yeah, she does all that, and I greatly appreciate it. And we have worked together for some years now. And then I wanted to. It was something I was supposed to be doing, y'all. I can't remember what it was. It seems like it was something I was supposed to tell you all when I came back on, but I can't quite remember it right now. We'll get to it before the show is out. But we do have another one of our speakers coming up, and so I'm going to prepare you all for her. I'm very excited to have her. Just following her on Instagram has been so enlightening in a mental wellness space and just emotional space. I don't know how you describe that exactly, but she is such a light and so informative. I'm just eager to have her. So our next speaker for Black Women Made Whole is Dr. Raquel Martin. Dr. Martin is the founder of Martin Psychological Services Professional LLC. She practices therapy, provides consultation services, and conducts workshops focused on anti-oppressive care, burnout, racial identity development, parenting, and racism-related stress. Dr. Martin is a sought-after speaker who practices what she preaches as part of a personal journey toward self-care and mental health. She is both transparent and transformational, sharing her stories and experiences as a Black woman, a mom, a partner, and professor. Dr. Martin also hosts the Mind Your Mental podcast, which seeks to educate, empower, and uplift stories along the pathway to mental health and well-being. Her insights are impactful, building community among diverse listeners. So, without further ado,
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for your yes. I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the stage.
Hi, my name is Dr. Raquel Martin. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, professor, and scientist. Thank you guys so much for being here. So I was given a couple of sets of questions. I'll also be looking at the chat if you guys have any additional questions with me, but I always state that I specialize in Black health and well-being, which is such an amazing calling to have. Mother to two, wife to one. And I always enjoy speaking about the specifics of health and well-being for Black women, because our health is very different than anyone else's. You always have to think that your mental health is inextricably linked with the way that the world treats you, and people treat Black women different than anyone else, currently and in the past, and the things that contribute to us doing well and the things that contribute to taking away from us. So I always think it's important to realize that when we're looking at resources and we're listening to mental health professionals, or we're listening to educators, even if they don't look like us, because you don't have to look like us to do well and work with us. You simply have to care. And you have to understand that working with us is a specialty. So one of the first questions I was asked to answer is, what do Black women most need to unlearn about emotional strength? So we just starting off with the easy one. I will say, the definition of emotional strength for Black women has always been defined as how much we can take on, how much we can endure, how much we can self-sacrifice, and how quietly we can do all of it. And I think it's really important when we are sublimating our emotions and not sharing and taking on everything, to understand that we're not thinking about who that really benefits. When we think about who it benefits for us to be disconnected from our bodies, to not know when something is going wrong, to be taking on so much stuff and be treated unfairly, the individuals who that benefits are for people who are oppressing us. So I always state that when people are stating, oh, well, you know, I have to do this and I'm taking this on, but I also want to be here for the community. The best thing you can do for the community is understand that taking a break and making sure you're eating appropriately and making sure you're advocating for yourself is actually what's going to be best for the community. Black people, and especially Black women, we're a collectivist people. Like, we are all community based. And because of that, anything that impacts us will impact the rest of our community. So when we're thinking of like, oh, well, I'm going to feel guilty for taking a break, it's like, well, I mean, taking a break is actually going to be best, because it's best. Everyone deserves to deal with like a well-rested, understandable person. And I am not a understandable person when I have not slept, rested, if my children are up my butt all day. It is best for you to deal with a well-rested Dr. Martin. It's best for my children. It's best for the people whose papers I grade. It's best for my husband. It's best for the person who cut me off so I don't chase them down. It's best for everyone. It's community care for y'all to just let me sleep. It's community care for me to say no, because I don't want to lose my license. You know what I'm saying? So I always state that. So being taught that strength looks like not crying and not needing help and fixing it yourself and being the go-to for everyone else, that is something that was forged in survival. And we have to understand that, like Black women, we were only able to simply survive for so long, but that is no longer the goal. And understanding that true emotional strength is going to be naming what hurts and allowing yourself to feel it, and then asking for support, saying when something is too much, because I don't want anyone to think that is how much you carry. It's understanding what's yours to carry and what is not yours to carry. It's understanding who your support system is and going to them when necessary. It's understanding who's supposed to be in your life and who's not supposed to be in your life, because that's also what's going to be best for you. And it's not going to be easy. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions with mental health and well-being, is that like, oh, if it feels too tough, it's not accurate or it's not the right thing. No, you're not meant to push past pain, but some things feel uncomfortable and some things feel dangerous. And for many of the things, we feel uncomfortable. If you're living in a society where we're so used to having to push down our emotions, expressing ourselves can feel like danger. I am walking through my clients through session, and them telling someone no, their heart rate is as high as if they were being chased by a bear down the street. They body cannot tell the difference between I'm simply telling someone no versus I'm being chased by a bear. Because our body is just responding that way. Like, I feel like I am in danger. It's like, well, no, you're not in danger. You're simply telling them that you're not going to take on this task that is not yours to take on. Okay. Like, we're not in danger. We're feeling uncomfortable, and that's okay. But it's going to be even more uncomfortable when you take on this task and you don't get any sleep. And now you done snapped at your child. And now you feel like a bad parent. And you really just needed to say no to something. Right. So understanding that can be incredibly helpful. I tell individuals to ask themselves, like, am I in immediate danger? Or do I feel like I am actually in physical, emotional danger? Or do I feel uncomfortable? I often do things, I typically have some level of discomfort. I very rarely have a lot of people that look like me around. I'm consistently advocating for Black people. Not everybody, but most of the time Black people. And I kind of have to operate with a certain level of discomfort, right? So with doing that, it's not not the fact that things get easier in the beginning. It's just that I know that I'm not being chased by a bear, basically. Like my breathing will regulate eventually. Does it suck now? Yes. But when I keep my eye on the prize, it's like doing this will make it so that I'm able to care for myself and care for others and cape for the community that I'm trying to cape for. It kind of makes it a lot easier, right? So when we're avoiding things as Black women, when it comes to not sharing our things and asking for support, think about the fact whether you're in danger or whether you're just uncomfortable. And one of the biggest things I will also say is that a lot of us have a fear of sharing and working with the support system because we have been let down before. And that is understandable. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's understandable to have a certain level of discernment. We're not walking down the street giving people our social security number. That wouldn't make any sense. It also wouldn't make any sense for you to blindly trust people. So it is understandable that you are thinking about, oh, well, what if this person treats me wrong? Or what if they do me wrong like they did before? If they kind of remind me of that other person. That's an understandable thought. That's discernment. But if that stops you from getting the support you deserve, and every single person stops you from doing that, you have to think about what's the benefit of this. You have to think about, I'm just kind of just going to have to deal with it and give them the opportunity to support me or disappoint me. But you have to give them the opportunity. And you also have to think about the fact, am I giving someone energy that they deserved, or am I giving someone energy that someone else deserved and that person is not around? Because a lot of our encounters, because we are a result of our experiences, leave like this emotional residue, and we're treating people a certain way that they did not earn. Now, if they earned it, okay. If this person is just like, no, last time they was tripping and it was like 3 times they were tripping, you got to take that data and figure out what you're going to do with it. But if it's someone previously and you're giving someone energy that they didn't deserve, you're going to have to slow down and give them the opportunity to support or disappoint you, right? Everything is data, but it's up to you to decide what you're going to do with that, right? Another question I was asked when it comes to Black women is, how can unprocessed grief quietly impact everyday life? One of the biggest things I want everyone to understand is that like grief, that is not processed or overall does not disappear. Grief is just going to convert into something else, right? It's going to convert into, I don't know, emotional numbness or chronic exhaustion or irritability. Like one of the biggest signs that I know when something is wrong is my low frustration tolerance. Because typically my threshold is very high. I have 2 children. I work in mental health care. I've worked in everywhere from like, private practice to juvenile detention centers. I'm from Philly. Like my tolerance is high. You know, if something little happens and I feel like I'm about to flip a table, something is off. That is my first indicator that like, I think something's wrong because it's just not typical, right? And it's not typical for anyone. No one. It is no one's temperament to be mean and surly. Something is wrong. Now, could it be the fact that you have been dealing with something wrong with you for so long that now it just feels as much a part of you as your own skin? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that something isn't wrong. It is not in any of us to be having low frustration tolerance and being annoyed all the time. Something is wrong, right? And it could be grief or unprocessed anxiety, or it could be dealing with oppression and racism. It could be having difficult relationships and having to deal with everything. But that's one of the first things I always check in with, because it's the first thing that gets pushed off. A lot of people will be like, oh, I've always been like this. Oh, okay. That just means we dealing with a lifer. That don't mean it's okay. It's not typical. None of us are like that. And for all of us, for every single person, but especially Black women, grief is always going to be layered, you know, and we have to think about the different things that we could be grieving: personal losses of opportunities, losses of support, losses of individuals who are present, but not physically being able to be with us anymore, loss of safety, right? A feeling as though like we maybe have to go to a doctor, but we don't even feel safe going to a doctor. If something were to happen to us, we don't even know who we could call on. All of these things. So when you're thinking about it, I think you have to understand that unprocessed grief is not going to just go away. You're not going to just be able to be like, I'm gonna just leave this here. This is clearly not going to follow me around for the rest of my life. No, like it's going to be right there with you, right? And it can look like always stating that you're fine when you're not. It can look like having success with no satisfaction with the success. It can look like reaching your level of exhaustion incredibly quickly. Like it used to, you used to be able to sleep 5 hours, or that's bad, but sleep 7 hours and feel well rested. And now you're still sleeping 7 hours and you wake up and you feel like you're walking through mud every single day because you have this on you, right? And I totally understand why sometimes it goes unprocessed. You don't want to bring everything in. You feel like you'll never be able to stop crying or never be able to address it. Or you may even say, what's the point? The point is it's impacting you either way. The point is, there are so many places and realms where Black women's stories and Black women's feelings are invalidated. So maybe you started doing it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself, right? The point is, you deserve to acknowledge that something sucks when it sucks. And you have to understand that when it comes to advocating for yourself in different environments, it starts with you. You have to think about, am I my biggest invalidator? Is a call coming from inside the house? Now, the call could also be coming from inside the house because the person you with or the place you live in, if they're just awful people. I will say that. But I will also state, when I'm saying the call is coming from inside the house, it's also coming from the fact that you invalidate yourself quickly as well. And thinking about what that looks like. Okay, next question. What are practical ways women can prioritize their mental health without guilt? So here's the thing. One of the things is, I think people mix up guilt and shame a lot. Guilt is something like, I did something wrong. And then shame is like, I am wholeheartedly wrong, right? And a lot of times shame happens when someone shames you. And guilt is an understandable emotion. Like, if you feel as though you did something wrong, or you feel as though someone is trying to make you feel as though you did something wrong, you have that emotion come up, right? Here's the thing. You're not always going to be able to do it without the guilt. When I had my first, not my second, because after the first, I was like, I'm tripping. But when I had my first, I used to always feel bad about taking a break. Not because anyone was making me feel bad. It's because there are many times when, like, in those, the stuff in society about being a good mother and stuff, they get into me too, right? Like, the thing isn't that the thoughts go away. The fact is, I just get better at, like, knocking them out, right? But having my first baby really just knocked me off of everything. And I would feel guilty for leaving, even though my husband was like, please, why are you still here? Right. And afterwards, when that window was gone for me to be able to take a break because people got jobs, we got to work, I'll feel even worse because I'm like, man, I'm tired. I cannot continue doing this. Right. So I kind of learned to, like, back up out the driveway with tears in my eyes. Like, oh my God, just a terrible mother. Let me see. This is back in the day when we could go to Target. Let me see what Target got today. Back in the day, my child is 6. Okay. That's that those days are done. But eventually I'll be able to regulate myself and feel better about it. So it's kind of the same way as, as someone who works a lot with, like, of course, especially as a Black health and well-being, I don't really, resonate with a lot of these narratives online. It's just like, everything's going to feel good all the time. I'm more so a person who just, like, I work with my clients on understanding the difference between pain and discomfort and danger and discomfort, and helping them build their capacity and see what we can move forward with, right? And how long can we build up this skill before we try to add something else, right? So when you're thinking of ways you can prioritize your mental health without guilt, one of the biggest ways I tell Black women is always thinking about what's best for you is what's going to be best for your community. A lot of times we show up with guilt because we feel as though we're not contributing to our community, that people have it harder than us, that we should be able to just do this. All of those are lies. All of those are tools of oppressors. I always tell everyone, my students, my colleagues, everyone, oppressors have always played the long game. Like, you only have to tell someone that they are unworthy, or that they are lazy, or that they are stupid 5 times. They will tell themselves that they are all of those things the 6th, right? So one of the biggest things you have to think about when it comes to the guilt is, what is the source of the guilt? A lot of times it's thoughts that we should be doing more, and people did more with less. Who cares what other people did? All right. Who cares? You compare apples to tennis rackets. We talk about me. I don't care. I don't care what Shayla did. Who is Shayla? They ain't got nothing to do with me. Focus. We're talking about me and why I'm not coming to this event. You should focus. If she like it so much, call her. All right. If you're thinking about doing it without guilt, 1, think about where the guilt is coming from, those internalized thoughts. But 2, think about, like, how am I going to push through the guilt to do it? Are you actually harming someone? Are you physically incapacitating someone? Right. And then start small. Start small. Everybody tries to go big when it comes to mental health and well-being. Go realistic. Stop going big. Why? We ain't gotta, fine, right? With my patients, and even when I'm talking about stuff online, we're talking about building capacity. It's not like it's something that's going to happen overnight. Think about it. I'm 37. When it comes to thoughts of being like, I have to go, I had at least 2 decades to build these thoughts. You think I'm gonna be able to break them down with my psychologist in 6 months of biweekly sessions? No. Like, we got to dig in. So I always say start small and see how consistent you can be with it before you try to add something else. Right. So I do tell people to try to schedule rest like a meeting, and it doesn't have to be like 50 hours. It can be something as simple as what different types of rest look like for you. I can send my link, but there's so many different kinds of rest. It can be intellectual rest. For example, I read and have to learn for a living. So some of the stuff that I do that is intellectual rest is something like crocheting, or I'm reading a book that isn't solely about like Black history and stuff like that. I'm reading Kennedy Ryan, or I'm reading Renee Watson, or one of my favorite authors that just always will just mellow me out is going to be J. California Cooper, right? Okay. So thinking about stuff like that. If you're thinking about social rest, like maybe you are getting it over and you just feel like you need a break from everything that's happening and stuff like that. It could also be the fact that like after 5 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, you just don't accept calls unless it's an emergency, right? And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be there for your family. It doesn't mean you're not going to be there for your friends. It means that you care about them so much that you want to talk to them when you're at your best capacity. Right. I'm not saying I don't care about you. I'm saying I care so much about you that I don't want you to have to repeat yourself 5 or 6 times because I'm not in a space to talk about it or to be your sounding board. So talk to me on Friday. I'm sure the problem will still be there. You still gonna hate him by Friday, girl. Like I guarantee it. Okay. We've been through this before. So call me on Friday and then we can have a full conversation about it. Right. Have a whole conversation about it. Right. And thinking about it that way, just it starts with your thought processes. And it seems so like when I started psych, I was like, oh, some of this stuff is so woo-woo. But y'all, some of most of the woo-woo stuff work. Like it is what it is. And this is very much me being like a North Philly person and just be like, all right, man, like all these feelings and these emotions, all like rein it in. But it really it's like some of the stuff, the stuff is right, y'all. Like we can maintain all of these negative thoughts in our head. And then the minute we think of something positive, we'd be like, oh, that's soft. It's not though. It's not. It really does start with reframing our thoughts in the first place, right? It's strategic when it comes down to it. Okay. Next question. How can a woman rediscover herself after a loss or a major change? I think it's important to realize that losses and transitions and stuff like that do disrupt what our typical identity is. And I think a lot of times when it comes to Black women, we have been thoughts or people like to push on us that having an individual identity and thinking of stuff like that is has to be somehow connected to usefulness in some way, right? Like if you have a loss of a person or an individual, we automatically step in to see how we can support others. If we have a major change when it comes to work or something like that, then we feel as though maybe we're not as useful as possible, right? And I think that can be a struggle. I think when it comes to grief of different opportunities and stuff like that, we may feel like there may be no other opportunity coming. But also when it comes to losing a person, it's also because it's tough. Discovering yourself after a loss or a major change, whether it's an individual, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's a prospective relationship, it's tough because it's going to disrupt. We're not only grieving like the scenario that happened now, we're grieving the future that we thought we were going to have with that individual or at that job or in that environment, right? So I would say rediscovering your stuff takes time. I also think it's helpful to think about like what specifically, not in terms of just the person, but what did I lose with this thing? If it's an individual, what did I lose? Like I say, it's a romantic relationship. Well, I not only lost a sounding board and a friend in a relationship, I lost some semblance of safety and I lost a possible future. And what does that look like for me? And what is my concern with that? If I lost a job, it's like, well, one, lost money. Like, let's just start there, like, also, I've been working hard and I was hoping that it would go plan out a different way, right? Also, I lost stability, right? So just thinking about who you were before that, what do you think the loss has done for you and giving yourself time, but also thinking about, are there some other ways that you can kind of gain what you thought you lost from that scenario, if we're not talking about a person? If you're talking about you lost someone because they're no longer alive, thinking about all of the amazing times that you were able to share with that person. When it comes to grief and loss of someone and all of that, it really is it's a representation of how much you cared for someone, right? I have a pretty unique situation in my life where I will always be grieving. It's very, very tough, but it's also because like it is a representation of how much I cared about that person, and being able to feel that is actually great. It also puts stuff in perspective in terms of not wasting time and who is deserving of my time. And not in the sense of like, oh, you should talk to them. They could be gone today. In a sense of I could be gone tomorrow. So I'm not having this conversation with you. Like I'm not going to do it. Okay. In a sense of like, I've gone and will be going through one of the most difficult things in my life. And that's why I can tell you that I'm not going to care about this tomorrow. So I'm not talking about it today. All right. You have the day you deserve, but I'm not doing it. Right. Like it can very much, it shapes you and it shapes who you are. So it can also shape your perspective and what you want to do going forward and what you want to deal with going forward. But don't rush it. And don't think that like you should be getting over something quicker. Says who? You're not deserving of less just because your needs are more or your needs are different. Maybe 5-10 years ago, I mean, God, think about it. Like we can just think about it in terms of like me being adult. 15 years ago, I could have ate 5 slices of pizza, woke up, did a walk and gained a pound. Today, if I look at a cheesy bread, it's like, girl, what's happening, right? Am I going to beat myself up because who I am today is different body-wise than who I was before? No. I'm be a little whimsical, right? It's the same thing when it comes to your skills. It's the same thing when it comes to your mental health and well-being. It's just going to be the same thing when it comes to moving forward. Like you are deserving of, you need different things because we're evolving and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't rush it just because someone may need different time. From a psychological perspective, what does true healing require? Energy, acknowledgement, and safety. It's really inappropriate for people to believe that you're going to be able to heal in an environment that you don't feel safe in. And that's not just physical safety, it's emotional safety. It's going to be really hard to heal if you feel like you're in a constant threat in the first place, and being aware of that. And I think agency. One of the biggest things that we have to acknowledge is that as a people, Black people, he, she, and they, our agency has consistently been taken away from us. So being forced to make choices that don't align with our values and then being expected to heal, it's not appropriate. And thinking and being realistic about healing. Healing doesn't mean pretending that somebody didn't do anything to you. Healing is meaning that it's not going to define me. There's a difference between forgiveness and then reconciliation. Me deciding I'm not wanting to engage with you anymore doesn't mean that you're holding anything on me. It means I have some sense. It means like, oh, okay, I can see that you've changed for the better. And I think that's great for you. However, the harm that you caused me made me feel as though I don't want to engage with you anymore. And who did you heal for? Did you heal for you or heal for me? Right. And I think that's one of the most difficult things that can happen on both sides of the wheel, right? Like there can be some people who's like, well, I was terrible before and I've done better and I've changed and I've done all this and they still don't want to be involved with me. That's their choice. Who did you heal for? Did you heal for them or did you heal for you? Never hinge your healing on anyone else, because that person can be gone tomorrow. That person can never give you forgiveness and you're still deserving of moving forward. All right. I got like 3 more minutes, y'all. What is one boundary every woman should consider to protect her wellness? Access. Everybody don't get access to you, y'all. Your time, your emotional labor, your problem solving skills, your body. Everybody don't get access to that. And they're not deserving of it. I know that there's always this talk that talks about like authenticity. Everyone's not deserving of my authentic self. We're great. Are you do you get all access to me? Oh, she's so funny. I've never seen that side of her. That's because she don't like you. That's because she doesn't like you. You're not deserving of her jokes. Okay. Everyone's not deserving of all of this access to you. The people who have ever described me as quiet, my friends automatically look like, oh, Raquel don't like her. She don't like her. I ain't never heard Raquel described as quiet in my life. If anything, we got to tell her to rein it in. She don't like you. But I also understand that I don't have to like everybody. Everybody don't have to like me. I'm not going to be disrespectful. Am I going to be conversational? No. Good morning. What's the task at hand, right? So access. You can decide who is allowed access to you. And always remember, when it comes to boundaries and rules are very different. Boundaries guide your behavior. Rules attempt to dictate someone else's. And there's something so powerful in understanding that boundaries are fully under your control. Okay. So a boundary isn't like, oh, you're not allowed to raise your voice at me. That's a rule. A boundary is if I feel disrespected, such as someone raising their voice at me, I get up and I move my body. Okay. Because someone can violate a rule and your boundary can stay firm. So just very much be aware of that. And I think that's all the time I have. Sorry, guys. I am very wordy. Very, very wordy. So I'm assuming someone's going to come up and be like, oh, well, we're at time. Oh, also, if you guys are interested in where to follow me, all of my stuff is Raquel Martin, PhD. It's already under there, which is fantastic. And I also have a community for Black women. It's called The Sanctuary. The link is in my bio on Instagram. We have a free model and a pay what you can model, because I understand everybody's pockets are not the same. So it's a pay what you can model. Every single month we have live events. We probably have about 4 to 6. It's moderated with 2 Black women as well. We have book club. Next week, our book club is going to be with the author Kelly Carter Jackson. Last week, we had Renee Watson. We do a mental health course every single month where I talk about a different topic. This month's topic was motivation to succeed despite limited resources, and you get a course from me, and then you get like downloadables and exercise and stuff like that. So it's a mental health community, but it's also an education community. It's meant to give you resources and tools to use when you may not have a relationship with a licensed mental health professional, because therapy is not the only path to healing, y'all. Sometimes we just need resources and we need directives that we can follow. We are quite a smart bunch, but like if nothing, we got to know where to start. Like you can't just, I know we're in the information age, but it's still overwhelming. So it's a mental health community, but it's also an education community as well.
I love it. Thank you so much, Dr. Raquel. Everything that you said was just so on point. I feel like, I don't know, so many gems would drop, just so many things that I think we as Black women need to kind of really take in and absorb, and then put into practice. So thank you for everything. I have been looking at the comments. I see that you were resonating with a lot of people. And the communities that you just mentioned sound really awesome. So guys, do check those out. And we just look forward to seeing more of you online.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thank you again. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed that segment. That was just, I'm really trying to take in everything that she said. I'm gonna have to end up watching this again because I know I missed something, but I think she provided us with just so much information that, and I can be a little overstimulated. So I know I'm gonna have to take it piece by piece. I need it broken down so I can make certain that I'm able to, remember and practice everything. But I think there's a lot of gems that would allow us to continue to grow and continue to be made whole. So she really embodied that, and I appreciate her for taking the time out to speak with us today. And so I'm going to bring on our last speaker, and I just want to take a minute and just say how thankful I am for her, yes, and for her joining our community. She's just such a light. We've just started working together more closely, but before that, she was already within the Swagger community. And I was just kind of following her and just seeing how she does things online, how she supports Black women. And so when you talk about sisterhood, I hope that you'll start to now think of the name Marilyn Monroe, because she is just all about women bonding and connecting and supporting. But let me go ahead and officially introduce her. So Marilyn Ty Monroe is a native of Annapolis, Maryland, an asset manager, developer, and proud boy mom with a passion for building both communities and meaningful conversations. She began her podcast journey in September 2025. I'm sorry, I said that like the name of the podcast is Journey, but she began her podcast journey in September 2025 as 1/3 of Culture Club Conversations, using her voice to spark honest dialogue around healing, relationships, and personal growth. She is the host of Swagger Sisterhood Spotlight and serves as the engagement content associate, where she is dedicated to uplifting and connecting women through storytelling and sisterhood. So, okay, Marilyn, the stage is yours.
Hello. Can you see me?
You're good.
Hello. Hello. Sorry, everyone. Good day, beautiful sisters. I am Marilyn Monroe. Fancy, thank you so much for that intro. That was amazing. And I feel like this entire Black Woman Made Whole was so for me. I was here taking notes and just amen. But thank you so much. Yes, sisterhood is very important to me. I'm honored to be a speaker today, and honored to actually weekly host the Swagger Sisterhood Spotlight, where I love to celebrate, not just spotlight them, but celebrate honestly and lovingly women, their talent, their brands, their businesses, their testimonies. That is so important because we hardly support each other the way we should. So I'm truly honored today, but I need your participation. I need your participation for my conversation with you. So I need you to take your pointer finger and your thumb. And if anything at all that I say resonates with you, I need you to do this. I can't see you, but I see you. But you can see me. So I need you to do this at any time throughout this time that I speak. Okay? Promise? Okay. So sisterhood to me, and I'll start with the topic sisterhood. It is restoring. True sisterhood creates safe space. It creates the ability to heal and to be yourself. Without all of this, all the hair, the makeup, the designer labels, sisterhood sees you in your heart. It's no requirement for validation. It's just being a part of each other and supporting each other. So I'm big on making things fun. And so I created an acronym for sisterhood. And I spell my sisterhood SISTAHOOD. So sisterhood, the S is strength. Strength, of course, resilience, to be firm with your friends and your sister, to set boundaries and to keep them. The I is for intentional, because that's the swagger way. And it's also to be able to be deliberate with the things you do and say. The other S is for support. Support looks different. It's to assist, to encourage, to cheer, to do all of those things that you would require for someone to do for you. You should do that for others. The T is for togetherness. It's important to always have a togetherness, to have unity, to have bonds. The other A is for accountability. Now, this is the part where a lot of us have problems with. We do not like to have anyone tell us when we're wrong, when we need to step back, when we need to take a deep breath. And I think it's just constructive criticism. So we all require accountability and someone that is willing to offer that lovingly. The H is for healing. That is a process, but that process starts with you. But as a sister, you are to support that and to be present. The O is for ownership, to own your mistakes, to own your the things that you need to do and to work on yourself. That ownership is a big deal. The other O is for optimistic. Now, everyone knows someone that is not optimistic, that negative Nancy. If you tell them it's raining, they'll say how ugly it is. For me, I love the rain. So you need someone with a good mindset, positive, hopeful, that'll be able to see the brighter side of things. And the D is for development. So the development is the process, the experience, all the things, the trenches, pretty much. And those are the things, that a true sisterhood entails. And that is my acronym for sisterhood. So one of the other questions I had is, what is being made whole look for me? For me at this grown age, being made whole for me is being intentional. Again, that's my key word. Not drifting, not just surviving. But choosing on purpose and being present to show up. It looks like stepping outside the box, doing new things, trusting new paths, becoming someone that you don't recognize in the best way. And that's me right now. Being able to talk about the hurt, the past, the journey, the triumph, to share that. You have to free yourself from anything that you want to heal from by talking about it in a safe space, people that are like-minded, is trustworthy, and not having shame or pretending, not wearing a mask. Wholeness in a season of your life that it looks better each year, each month, each day. The new you, the developing you looks better. You're able to identify that. You're being able to be stronger than you were last week. That's the goal. And I always tell people, if that's too much, if last week is too much, if 7 days is too much for you, then do it for a day. Do 24 hours. You can make your own increments on how you need it to work. I rest. That's another speaker said the same thing. It's important to rest, to reflect, to reset, to recover, to allow yourself to recover. Recovery does not have a time. It looks like having boundaries for me. I set boundaries. Once upon a time, I'm able to turn my phone on, and anyone and everyone could call me, text me at any time, and I was available or try to be available. But you have to set the boundaries and set them for yourself. And then it also looks like peace to me. Being made whole looks like peace. It's peaceful days, peaceful nights, being able to just have, not needing the validation from anybody, to feel comfortable within me, within Maryland, within Ty. And of course, not just surviving, not just waking up saying, I'm just here, I'm here, I just showed up. Not just surviving. Life is more important than just to survive. Just to say, well, it's done. It is what it is. I know a lot of us say that. It is what it is. It's all about what you make it. You are the author, along with God, of course, but you are the author. It's so important to be kind and patient with yourself. So being made whole for me is becoming. And I know someone else said that. It's becoming. I'm becoming who I needed to be or who I should be. It was already written. So that is important as far as me becoming who I am or being made whole, in which this program is about. Let's talk about back to sisterhood, because that's my specialty, right? All right. So what does healthy sisterhood look like? And that was a question as well that I had. Sisterhood, positive sisterhood, healthy sisterhood looks like support without rivalry. Your wins are your wins. I don't need to block your wins to tell you the story of my win and how my win was bigger. No. Honesty in conversation. Conversation is important as well. So truth spoken in love, not in shade. You know, a lot of people throw that shade. So just being able to speak in love and not shade and not downplaying someone else's success or goal meeting or expectations, just celebrating it with them and listening. Boundaries respected. You have to respect those boundaries. It's important to also communicate boundaries with your friends, and not being like feeling offensive, feeling that it's just, someone's trying to shut you out. So that's important. So celebration without comparison. That's a big one. Celebrate your sister without comparing how big or small you feel that celebration is to you. If it's major to them, let it be major to them. And you celebrate it with them majorly. So that's important. Accountability without humiliation. Can we do that? Correct with care. Correct behind the scenes. A lot of times as sisters, as friends, we're not always right. We're not always right. And it's important to lovingly, again, the key word for me is lovingly, have those conversations behind the scenes. You don't have to do it in public amongst a lot of people, online. You don't have to post it under their post as a response. It's not necessary. Just inbox them, call them, text them, and say, hey, I think you mistaken February has only 28 days this year instead of 29. You put on the calendar. Be kind, and being present in hard seasons. A lot of times we don't communicate our hard seasons. I know I didn't. So just being able to identify the voice, putting the communication in a voice, always reaching out to call, to hear that voice, to hear if in fact you need to make a trip. And I know sometimes it's tough with work, life, to jump on a plane or in the car, but be able to be present in hard situations or hard seasons, because we all have them. What does let's see, what are the topics? Hold on, let me pick another. I had a few topics. My personal swagger style. That was a question. What is my personal swagger style? Well, let me tell you. My personal swagger style is being raw, being real, being supported. I support loudly and proudly. And that's on camera and off camera. Bringing great energy and setting the tone. I can't dance, but you can never tell me I can't dance, because I'll come in the room, especially music's playing, and I'll dance. So that good energy, just showcasing, good energy, and not wanting to be, again, a negative Nancy. Building anyway. You don't know quite what it's going to be, but you just start building, start putting the foundation together, in hopes that knowing that it will work, and knowing that it will create something beautiful, and knowing that the fortitude of everything would work, and it would just be something beautiful for yourself and others, and your sisters or your friends and family. How to love, how to uplift. Everyone has a different love language. Everyone has a different way of needing to uplift them. So knowing the difference, that's my swagger style. And then grace under pressure. So yeah, that's just giving grace under pressure times that you feel rushed or unsure. And then lastly, what is my swagger style? Let me tell you, and you might write this down. It's no secret, because if you know me, you know me. My swagger style is doing it afraid, doing it unsure, but I'm just not staying stuck. I hope everybody's doing this right now. And I'll say it again, doing it afraid, doing it unsure, but just don't stay stuck. That is my swagger style. Doing what you have to do to elevate yourself, to expose yourself to different things, to different opportunities, to different people that you positively can learn from. And that's what I'm doing. So that is my swagger style. And that is I guess my time. So I really don't talk too long, but I just wanted to share with you today, since I'm one of the speakers, and I want to thank everyone for tuning in, all of my friends and family for tuning in.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marilyn. We really enjoyed that, and just learning, I think that sisterhood is a big part of being made whole. It's not something we oftentimes think about, but it is something that, we need other women as women. And that's something I really had to learn, because I wasn't raised with that mindset. It was more so kind of, I'm not going to say necessarily saying other women are competition, but it wasn't, I didn't realize how vital that was in life, but I realized, and I used to pray for the people that I have in my life today, and I'm so grateful for the women that I consider to be friends today, or that are in my network, because it's not even just like a business thing, but just having those other women to talk to learn from, to, oftentimes share things with, or they come up with solutions to things. My friends look out for me. I'm very grateful for all of them. And just, I feel like there's going to be more women that I will meet along this journey of life, and that circle will continue to grow. And I love connecting people to other people. So that's just something I'm naturally good at. So, what was I going to? Oh, so y'all, before we close out, I'm worried that the time is going to run out before I finish my speech. If it does, I think we will be continuing on YouTube, but this is the last segment of the event. So I just thank you all for sitting through everything with us. I hope that you found value in everything that was said, that you can walk away with something, not too much to overwhelm, but enough, to have what you need. I hope that you have that part. So, Black women made whole. We don't feel broken. We feel tired of carrying, tired of being strong, tired of surviving things we should have never had to survive. And somewhere along the way, survival became our personality. We call it ambition. We call it leadership. We called it responsibility. But wholeness is integration. It's being ambitious and soft, visible and protected, powerful and rested. Our grandmothers mastered endurance, but we get to master ease. Wholeness is when you stop negotiating your well-being. It's when you look at your life and say, this version of me deserves peace. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's legacy work because we're not passing down exhaustion anymore. We're passing down boundaries, softness, alignment, ownership, all the things that the women mentioned today, may I add. Black Women Made Whole is not an event, it's a decision. And today you chose yourself, and that's powerful. And one last thing I almost left out because I'm still looking at the time, but I also want to acknowledge one more of our sponsors. If I could just find her stuff. Why can't I find it? Oh. Oh, okay. All right, another sponsor spotlight. Jacqueline Nurse Jackie Bones is a registered nurse, wellness strategist, and AI business consultant, helping women look good, feel good, and build smart. She teaches clean beauty awareness, functional wellness, and how to use AI tools to build a professional brand and income stream without burnout. Her passion is working with older entrepreneurs and small business owners who may feel intimidated or slow to learn AI. She believes AI is the future, and she's committed to making sure no one gets left behind and everyone stays in the game. She doesn't want followers, she builds transformers, women ready to elevate their health, presence, and earning power. Follow her on Facebook at Jacqueline Bones and Instagram at the Transformalist _, Nurse Jackie. And I'm going to spell Transformalist, guys. That's TRANSFORMALIST _ Nurse Jackie, JACKIE, to see how she's using AI to build brands, create digital assets, and scale business intelligently. Text 832-661-8344 to schedule your free 10-minute one-on-one consultation. So that actually concludes our event. Thank you all so much for your yes and just giving us this time on this Saturday morning. But also thank yourself for giving yourself this time on this Saturday. Well, I'm saying morning, but this Saturday afternoon, because we could have been working and y'all know that, but we took some time for ourselves to gather and congregate. And this has really been a beautiful thing. Thank you to all the amazing speakers, Lucinda, Miss Trish, Dr. Raquel, and Marilyn. We greatly appreciate you all. And I just hope that you all continue to grow within the Swagger community. And also, that was the thing I was supposed to tell y'all. Lakeisha is also one of our PR clients. So if you are interested in speaking with her or having her as a guest on any of your outlets, then you can always reach out to us. As well as if you yourself are a woman who is in her becoming season and you're ready for more visibility, then do also check out swaggerpr.com. It's our public relations boutique. Or you can always join our Swagger community, which is called the Visibility Vault for Black business women. It's a community that's all about lifestyle and visibility tips and opportunities, and it's kind of like public relations and branding, but also we have the lifestyle aspect to it because we want for business owners to be, to really be whole, because I know how hard we work. I do it myself. And so this is a way for me to also make certain that I'm pouring into myself when I am connecting with other Black women. So peace and blessings. Happy Saturday, y'all. We did this.